Hello beautiful people and welcome to this video. Today is Tuesday and that's when I read a letter to you, a letter that I wrote. I usually write letters to things and I encourage you to do the same. So today I'm reading a letter about misery. Hang on tight, we'll get there. Before we get there, I do want to invite you to Sexuality Beyond Sex. And if you're a kind of person that wants to explore what healthy sexuality looks like, that wants to explore what genuine individual sexuality looks like, one that does not depend on boxes that are given to you to tick, that doesn't depend on the influence you're getting from your family, from media, from influencers, or anyone else. Sexuality that is defined by you and also that's not defined by your trauma too, but sexuality that's defined by you. If you're the kind of person that's interested in that, you want to come through. And also if you're just a creative, you definitely want to come through, because creativity, sexuality, same thing. So there will be on the 4th of November. There'll be some music, there'll be tea ceremonies, there'll be some art, there'll be dance, there'll be chats, deep meaningful chats. 6 hours. You choose which hour you want to come through with. You can come on the first hour, you can come you can come for all 6 hours even. So if you want to get to know more about that and you'd like to learn more about it, please fill in the form below. Or you want to have a one-on-one session with me, or you want to join the Discord group, that form is for everything. Whatever it is that you are interested in, just fill in the subject line and write to me a little bit about yourself so I know what fits you the best. That makes sense? Okay, so on to today's video. Today is about reasons why we are attracted to misery, or we end up being miserable, how we get there. And before we get into that, I want to read you a letter that I wrote to misery. I wrote this letter maybe 2 years ago, and you can find it on my Instagram. I posted it on Instagram about also 2 years ago. So I wrote it down. So the letter says, "Dear Misery, I hope I can read properly, and I hope I'm even saying misery right, because English is not my first language. All right. Dear Misery, in the past I have come to you whenever the world around me was overwhelming. You felt like that dirty, old but comfy blanket. I'd come running to you because you'd be the only thing that made sense. Familiar. I knew your telephone number by heart. Sometimes I'd call you through toxic relationship patterns. Sometimes I'd pretend I'm starving and have no money. Sometimes I'd invite family drama. Anything to experience you, even just for a moment. Remember when I was 2? All adults around me would rush in as soon as you were around. I got held more, loved more. I'd expect the same even later in life. The more miserable I'd be, the more I'd receive calls from friends asking if I'm okay. Some would even make me soup. Misery. I'm writing this letter to let you know I'm grown now. I'm aware that my love exists in me always. Your comfort was never real anyways. I no longer need you to receive attention. I'm content with happiness. I've experienced happiness enough to find it familiar. I'm not sorry we have to part ways. It was long overdue. Delete my number. I sure won't call you. Bye, Tembega." So that was my letter to misery, and I wrote it as a desperate attempt to move from a miserable place to a happy place. And it was just like the last attempt, and I want to tell you that it does work. Hopefully you try it too. But on to the reasons why we are drawn into being miserable. And the number one reason, and I hope you picked it up from the letter, the number one reason has to do with the fact that it's familiar. It is such a familiar feeling to be miserable. Hold on, I need to switch off this heater here. It is such a familiar feeling for us that we can always go back to it because we can remember ourselves crying to sleep or any of those things. And whenever life gets overwhelming, whenever life doesn't make sense for us, like it doesn't make sense why this person doesn't want me, it doesn't make sense why money wouldn't want me, it doesn't make sense why this job won't want me, it just doesn't make sense. And we'll just take misery, hold it, and be like, okay, I know what this means. I know what being miserable means, so I'll take that on. instead of facing what we need to face. And most of the time, we get miserable when we trying to run away from our calling, from who we are truly. Then, because it's confusing, because the world might not be a safe place for that, because the world might not be ready for the kind of person that we are, and then we're like, I'm going to choose being miserable, and then we'll create drama around it, maybe family drama, maybe money drama, just so we can get to a place of like, I'm miserable because I'm not well, I'm miserable because of my family, I'm miserable because of this and that, right? So that's the number one reason, is that it's familiar, and whenever we get overwhelmed, we choose that as the comforting thing. And the second one has to do with how, as early as children, parents will pay more attention if we are crying, or pay more attention if we're not well, and they will run to us and hug us and comfort us. And even later in stage, we get more attention when we are miserable. And I'm not just talking about attention from friends, attention from people from the outside. I'm talking about attention from ourselves. Like, you are most likely to pamper yourself, to be like, you know what, today I'm not going out, I'm going to be home, I'm going to make myself a nice cup of tea or something like that. You are most likely to pay attention to yourself. If you are going through heartbreak, if you're going through pain, then you'll take care of yourself more, until you are used to it, until that becomes a thing, that if I will only take care of myself if I am miserable, sorry, subconsciously, that's what it comes out as. And I don't have water with me right now. Sorry about that. So that's the second thing, is that we will only take care of ourselves, or other people will only take care of us if we're miserable. So we go to it. And then the third one is because we truly, honestly believe that a person can't be happy all the time. They can definitely be miserable all the time, but they can't be happy all the time. Or they can't be happy for long periods of time. Things just cannot go smoothly. There has to be bumps on the road, to a point where we create those bumps for ourselves. So it is not a common thing in our bodies, in our society, to just feel happy about life. You have to always, and you are even respected for it. They'll be like, oh, she's a real one. Because you are showing an emotion of being miserable, and if you are showing an emotion of being happy, then it is believed that you're not so real, you're not so genuine, you're hiding something. And that is my life's work. My life's work has always been to bring to an awareness that, hey, it is possible to choose to be happy. And then the thing that I always get about that is like, no, that's not true. You need to have like a range of emotions. And that's true, you do need a range of emotions. But don't you know a person in your life? You probably do. A person that is so consumed with hate, with resentment, with just anger. They are so consumed with that it is, you can just tell. If you're going to see them, you know they're probably in some kind of a resentment phase or an angry phase in them. There are people like that. Like, they can just like be on that string for a long time. It doesn't mean that they never smile. It doesn't mean that you've never seen them laugh. They've laughed before, they've smiled, they've shown like other emotions, but the one that is dominant, that you can count on, that if you see them, they will be on this one, is resentment, hate, anger, or whatever it is that it is, or sadness. Like a person that you know that they are just going to be sad. Even if you've just given them a gift, to be like, hey, here's a gift, they'll still find a way to be sad. So like, oh, I wish I could, but then, something like that. So then I believe the opposite is true too. If you can choose to be an angry person, if you can choose to be a hateful person, I think you can choose to be a happy person. It doesn't mean there won't be times when you're crying, there won't be times when you're in pain, there won't be times when you're in grief. That's healthy. There's definitely going to be times by that. But what will be dominant, what will be the one that is predictable, that we can predict will find you in, could be happiness. And I think this is what I was pushing for with this letter. I was pushing myself to say I could flip it and make misery sit at the back seat and let the driver be happiness. I can be miserable because something bad happened, because things didn't happen my way, but I'll give it like 2 minutes and keep it moving. Does that make sense? So I want to hear from you. I want to hear what your dominant emotion is. What is the one that is people predict about you, that they know that if they're going to see you, this is how they will find you? Will they find you serious? Will they find you? Mine is serious. They'll definitely find me serious. I'm usually serious. But what it is that you would say is a dominant emotion for you. And have you ever done the practice of writing letters to things that you want to let go of, things that you want to keep? I think I would really love to hear that. And on again, speaking of happiness, joy, and pleasure, which that is my life's work, is the pleasant emotions. It's joy, happiness, and pleasure. When it comes to that, I do want to stress the point of it is possible. It is possible to be in a state of pleasantness for long periods of times, long period of time, and not just for a long period of time. That even when sadness comes, even when grief comes, it can just be covered by the joy that is dominant in your life. So that's that about today's video. I hope you enjoyed the letter. I thought I would read it again, but I don't think we have time. What I do want to stress is for you to come to my Discord group. I have a Discord group that is for creatives. That's where we share our work, we share what we are doing, what we are up to, what are the struggles we're having, the challenges. And once a week, I think 2 Fridays now, 2 Fridays ago, we started meeting, because it was just a chat group for a long time. Now 2 Fridays ago, we started meeting on the voice chat, because Discord has like a voice chat. So we have one phone call that we do on Fridays at 5 p.m. South African time. And it's been wonderful. I think everyone should be on that call. It's so beautiful, and I've been trying to even record these calls and see how I can record them so that I can make them available for other people. But it's just so beautiful. So that's what I want to invite you on. If you're creative and you want to hang out with other creatives, come through. See you there. Bye.